Hello, we are Team 13, and today we are going to be giving our final demo presentation on our Seedlab project. So firstly, a little introduction to the project. Seedlab is a project-based design and build course that centers around a specific challenge that changes each semester. And this year, our challenge was to produce a robot that could be fully autonomous, detect Aruco markers, which are little markers that have specific squares using black and white colors, and then using a vehicle-mounted camera, follow directions based on that and color detection, and travel through a mini obstacle course composed of 5 to 8 of these different markers that all have different signals to interact with the behavior of the robot. So firstly, some introductions on our team members. So the people on the localization and control team, these are the people in charge of the robot's movement, working with encoders and the motors themselves, and the actual build of the robot are Joshua Ramirez Malerva and Alex Lua. And for the computer vision side of the team, which are in charge of making sure all of the camera detection software works and the communication between our two subsystems is fluent, will be composed of Corin Bucher, Gabe Damati, and Zahid Conte. So taking a look at our initial system of our robot, this was the final design we ended up using for our demonstration. So the robot has 2 different motors with wheels attached, and these are attached to a Arduino controller, which is attached to these power cables that enable the power system through a battery and a battery bank that is underneath. And this, not pictured here, but on this screen, is the Raspberry Pi, which communicates with the Arduino controller in order to facilitate the communication between movement and camera detection software. And in here, we can see that this is the camera. It is mounted at this bracket on the full front of the robot so that it can see anything in front of it. So moving into the setup of the final demo is made up of these obstacle courses of these little markers that have indicators. So firstly, all markers will have this Aruco marker shape with these black and white patterns, simplifying the Aruco marker symbol for 1, and each one will have either a red arrow that points to the right or a left arrow that is green, and that will signify the direction that the robot needs to turn. So initially the robot may not be facing a marker, so it needs to perform a rotation in order to line itself up with one of the markers, detect it, and then perform the appropriate actions to get close enough and move to the next marker. So it almost exemplifies a little bit of a maze that it needs to follow, but all of the markers will be in with a detecting distance after the first one. So next up, we're going to jump into a little bit of our previous work that helped us build our work towards the final substation. So the initial camera detection software was to be able to detect an Aruco marker using the camera, and that was the initial setup. And this is what it looks like on our simulation screen. So after our initial computer vision work, we were able to get it to detect how far away the marker was, and also the horizontal angle between the center of the marker and wherever the camera is. So this will be helpful in us determining how far away the marker is and if the robot is close enough to the detection radius. And also, on here, not pictured because the arrow is not present, but we do have a color detection feature that filters out either red or green colors and uses that to make a decision to the Arduino's movement. So next up, we have a couple of our videos from our previous simulations. So these videos are the robot rotating 45 degrees and then moving forward a certain amount of feet, in this case 2.82 exactly. So the robot moves forward and rotates accordingly, and then in this, it rotates 180 degrees and then moves forward 2 feet. So these are good examples of our substations working in unison with each other. So next up, we're working on our final subsystem demo. And for this, we kind of need the robot to work in a fully implemented and integrated system. So the way that our team chose to approach this was the Raspberry Pi handles all of the camera detection, angles, and distance, and the Arduino handles only the movement of the robot when instructed to. So essentially, our code consisted of a bunch of sequences of sending start and stop commands to the movement of the robot based on what the camera is picking up. So for the Raspberry Pi, that means that angle detection, which was mentioned before, needs to be calibrated. Our distance detection needs to be constantly updated. It also handles all of the main loop of the code and all of the communication between each subsystem, so the Arduino and Raspberry Pi respectively, and also handles the color detection and making sure all of the flags are clear for that. The Arduino, on the other hand, handles a move forward function, which is simply just moving forward at a constant speed and coordinating that between the two motors based on the code. Rotate function, which slowly rotates, which we need at the start and to also line up our next marker. And our rotate to a specific angle, which occurs after we get to a color detect, because we need to rotate 90 degrees left or right depending on what color we detect. And also a useful one is a stop function to just stop all commands, stop movement, and at the end of the course, stop the robot. So the general overview of how our code works is that our robot will initially rotate until a marker is present on the camera, and once that marker is detected, it will slowly move towards it until the angle between it detects as 0, i.e. the robot is exactly straight and can move forward. Once that is detected, the Pi will send a command to the Arduino, which controls the motors to move forward, and then we have a distance detection that is running on the Pi simultaneously that will be detecting how far away the marker is from the robot. So as it's moving forward, it'll be detecting the marker, and once that distance gets close enough, it will stop the robot by sending the command to the Arduino. After that occurs, assuming that the marker is right in front, it will run a color detect, solely so that it can get as close as possible so that the color detection is more accurate. It will pick up either if there's a red arrow or a left arrow, and then according to that color detection, it will send another left-right rotation command to the Arduino. And after that, the process will repeat until it reaches a marker that doesn't have any color detection in it. And after that, the robot will stop. So now we have a final demonstration video showing our robot working in action. Hello, today we are going to be presenting our final demo video for Group 13. Go ahead. So the robot starts at a random initial angle, moves to a marker about 5 feet away, and then navigates this maze of markers that are all about 3 to 5 feet away. And that is our demo. This one was completed with 8 markers. Hello. So as for some concluding thoughts on our demo, our final demo performance was successful in the end. It wasn't as good as the video. We only made it out of 4 out of 7 markers on ours before our robot malfunctioned a little bit. But I'd say the hardest part of this project was getting it to work consistently. Working with the camera hardware was a little bit difficult, and sometimes the camera was having difficulty detecting colors and the arrows and the markers. And it was important to test with the arena we were working in before, so going straight into the demo was a little bit finicky with our robot. But I'd say our base code and general algorithm of the code and the robot worked well, and as a team we were able to debug and work together to finish the project, and we're very proud and satisfied with the results. The only difference in the trial was that we were allowed to shine some light onto each one of the markers because the colors were having some difficulty in the lighting in the final arena. Overall, though, I'd say our team did a very good job and are satisfied with the work, and we were glad to be able to finish the robot and have it work properly in the end. So thank you for watching our presentation, and we will see you next time.